Well, hello there, football friends. So on Thursday, the 12th of January, I was joined by Michael Lavery. Michael Lavery is a former teammate, an ambitious sports journalist, playing his trade in Derby at the minute, university, and a notorious Manchester United fan. So this was prior to the Manchester Derby. Michael gave his opinion on all them things and took us through his footballing journey. A great chat from a great fella. Again, the future's bright for him, on and off the football field if he does decide to put his boots back on. So I hope you enjoy the listen. Again, remain awesome football friends. Thanks for the support.
Keepie Uppies with Ruchi and Tots.
Mick Lav, how are you?
See what's crack.
Good man, good man. Apologies for the technology.
No, sure, it
How you
always
keeping?
ends up getting in our way.
I'll tell you, I was out coaching from 6 to 7 there, and I was getting the absolute head blew off me. And the thoughts of having to go home and get changed and get washed and get dried to go back out again. Killed
Aye.
man. I know the weather's bad out there, so no better
You're
place
brave
than
going
home.
out and coaching in that weather.
I had no options. I was driving back from Dublin, so it was a pit stop on the way home from work. Didn't even get home.
Fair enough.
So how are you? How the hell
Yeah,
are you?
not too bad. Keeping all right. Just
Good, good.
plugging
I ran
away here
into
to go back over to England.
That's it. I ran into you over Christmas, and I promised I'd get a chat with you. I know Christmas is your favorite time of year, but I think we shared a pint, did we? Or we shared a cheers anyway in the Woodville, only
Yeah,
briefly.
definitely. I think I was in watching Liverpool get beat that day, so that makes it even better.
Oh no, no, no! There you go, notorious Manchester United fan. That starts the conversation off from the outset. So all good with you, and say you're just biding your time before you head back home to uni.
Aye, just working away here, just in a wee part-time job, just sort of till I get back over, get this final year of uni finished.
Happy days, happy days. Listen, I want to talk to you about that, obviously, and about the journey you're on with uni, and but we want to start for all the podcast listeners. As I say, you're a budding podcaster yourself. We just want to get the backstory on Michael Lavery. I'm
Well,
assuming by your email address that you were born in 1998. Is that right?
yes, that's when it all started back then.
You see, that makes me feel really old because it's either makes me feel great because I shared a pitch with one so young, or it makes you really great that you played with an old legend like myself.
Yeah, I'll take the credit of getting to play with you boys rather than, you playing with
Well,
me.
we'll take that. We'll take that. But we'll kick right back. We'll talk about initially. So, Michael, obviously, you're a notorious Manchester United fan. We talked in the podcast before. Oh, there's my camera started to work. And so, only born in 1998, Manchester United fan. Who is your football idol growing up?
Uh, I probably have to go for Wayne Rooney. I think he was the main man right the way through. He only joined, mind you, whenever I was about 6 or 7. But I don't know. There was just something about. And I'm not a striker. Like I never was a striker. But there was just something about the way he handled himself and the way he just uh, he was just brilliant. He was all over the place. He was scoring goals. He was United's main man. And then that sort of that time whenever he was threatening to leave like that, that scared me and broke my heart more than the threat of Ronaldo ever leaving. Do you know what I mean? So it was always Rooney for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And he's doing his thing now uh, in management. So, obviously, a football lover, Rooney. He's one of the boys. Football was born in the street for him. Lives and breathes it,
Yeah,
me, nothing
definitely.
else. It's easier to relate to that, isn't it? Than the likes of Ronaldo and stuff. Their story's very different, but the likes
No,
of Rooney's got.
Rooney's a legend. Like, and even then, I think that whole relatable thing you're talking about as well, when the likes of the Wayne Rooney street striker and all was all on the TV, and it's just lads running about out in the road kicking football, and who can hit that lamppost and who can hit this wall and do different things like that. That's just sort of what we were doing as well. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's
So
it. That's it. To say kind of jumpers for goalposts. It's not even. You're not even allowed to kick the ball in the street anymore. You see there's signposts everywhere. No
yeah,
ball games allowed. No ball games allowed. And for me, that's the biggest downfall is that kids now only play football when it's kind of like supervised. It's sort of
yeah. If
supervised
it's
exposure to football.
Yeah, if it's structured only, I mean, the amount of times where I live, like we had completely, like I would call them interstate rivalries between us and the fellas that lived over the other side of the fence, and you'd get 12 or 15 of us playing a game of an evening, like, and it got serious.
Absolutely. And the boy that had the ball was the last one
Oh yeah,
standing.
always,
He dictated the rules. Making you
always,
sound like an old fella, Mickey, but that's unfortunately it's been a quick shift to stay supervised football only.
yeah.
Bad times. So is your love for Manchester United obviously still grows? What's your thoughts on their current standing? With still getting
Uh,
hammered.
well, I tell you what, we're in good shape at the minute, but at the same time, you don't want to run away with it too quickly because I mean, what was it, 8 games or something? 8 game streak we're on at the minute, but there's no one of any real caliber in there that we've come across. I mean, Rashford's on this great run of form. The big test is this weekend, is Saturday morning here, or Saturday afternoon against City. That'll show how far we've come. I mean, from the last time we played them, that absolute hiding to give us. That'll be the real sort of measuring stick as to how far we've come as a team, and then if there's any sort of backing or credence as to are we a top four or even dare even dream, Richie, a league winning team.
Well, you're not far off, as you say. A victory would put you 1 point behind City, and then you're in a title race just like they are if things go your way. But it's definitely been a change of pace. So Arsenal actually kicking in and overshadowing the so-called two-horse race that everybody's expecting with
No,
Liverpool and City. So,
this is what's been great about the Premier League this year, because the past couple of years, by the time we've got to Christmas, it's been more or less wrapped up, whether it's been City or Liverpool. And even if it hasn't been wrapped up, those two have been so far ahead that no one else has even dreamt of, daring the dream, should I say. Uh,
yeah,
like the fact that it's still open and the teams are still within touching distance this time of the year is a good thing.
no, absolutely. As I say, the joys, the entertainment of it. City aren't invincible. That's the thing. They've got their weaknesses, and as you said, United, it's a transition period, very much so, even with the last time they got the hammering. But it'll be a leveler, as you said.
Yeah,
Let them know exactly where they're at and who they're at. And
yeah,
what about
definitely.
Weghorst coming in?
Like, I don't know. I mean, it's United of the past couple of years seem to have had this panic buy sort of reflex and reaction, and sometimes it's worked out. I mean, Cavani was brilliant at the time whenever he signed. Um, I thought it was just to get a big name and sort of settle the fans down, but he did a turn for us, like, and he played well, and you know you couldn't fault what he did for us. This way, of course, I don't know. I mean, he had the World Cup where he did all right. He's been playing at Burnley. It's hard to see, you know, at this time when you're trying to sign a player, everyone tries to pick out the negatives and whatever else. But I'm sure there's a lot of positives in there and the style of play. And if Ten Hag's agreeing to it, then there must be some logic behind it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Listen, I want to return to that conversation, Vic, but we'll say I want to get to know the boy behind the man. So we'll get back to your story. So where did it all start? Where's your first football memory? You've obviously mentioned the love for Wayne Rooney and stuff growing up, but the first time you were exposed to football, what's your earliest memory?
Um, well, the very first time, like as far back as it goes, would have been I used to live in North Street. My bedroom window used to look out on the Grattan Park when Lurgan Celtic used to play there.
Yeah.
The amount of time the football ended up in the backyard, or maybe the neighbour's window might have got cracked by a few iron shots. I was always around football and always sort of watching it. And then even when the teams weren't playing, I was sort of in around the grounds having a bit of a kickabout with my dad, or in around the clubhouse, not the clubhouse, but the changing rooms, whatever else that they had there, having a nosy. And then we moved then from North Street, and the first time I remember playing, I was sitting in the living room one night. My mum texted, says you need to go. Or my dad texted my mum. She says you need to go up and get your football boots on. You're going to play football tonight. And I didn't know what that meant. I was just, I was only ever used to kicking the ball around the backyard, but we were going up to Allen Hill Park and joining training, and that was with Chris O'Connor and Noel McGinn,
Yes.
and that's where it all started. And on the bottom pitches, Allen Hill Park.
The bottom pitch is on Hill Park. We're all the Lurgan football legends have had their first exposure.
Yeah, that's where it starts
Brilliant,
for everyone. It's a
brilliant.
rite of passage.
Rite of passage, indeed, indeed. As I say, Bunker McGuinness was the generation before you again, then me and
Yep.
others. Obviously, Chris O'Connor assisted Bunker in that process. And So that would have been with a very young Sunnyside setup. Would that be right?
Yeah, was sort of just as Sunnyside was sort of finding its feet again, I'd imagine. I've only ever known as a Sunnyside. Oxford Sunnyside's all it's been
Yeah.
during my life. So anything that happened before that, I'm not too familiar with. But for the whole way through Allen Hill Park, and then with the likes of Bunker McGuinness, when the weather got bad, maybe on a night like tonight, would have been in St Paul's School in the big hall.
Yeah.
Bunker was running the show down there, and you were never without football, whether it was 2 nights during the week or on the Saturday. It was always going, and there was a lot of work put in to make sure us boys had somewhere to go and have a bit of a run around.
No, absolutely. And I say it's still going. They say that all the football clubs in the town are thriving, going from strength to strength, and platforms for young kids is fantastic. Long may it last. Long may Anhill Park generate
Yeah,
top players, top people.
hopefully so.
Absolutely. So then your structured football then it's kind of started and remained with Sunnyside. Would that be fair?
Yep, I've only ever played for Sunnyside. I did have what I would call you can't even call it midlife crisis. I had a bit of a sporting dilemma at one point, and I didn't know what I was doing, whether I was playing football or whether I was staying with Sunnyside. And I had 2 training sessions with Lurgan Town, and I knew
Oh dear.
I
Oh
know
dear me.
I know I had two training sessions up at the Gordon playing fields, and I don't know what it was. I don't know whether it's just because I wasn't in the mood to come back to football, or if it was club loyalty that I just knew it wasn't for me. And a couple of months later, then I was back down in Knockgrammar because I played junior football right the way through. And then you'll laugh at me for this. Like I took a notion in and around maybe 13 or 14 that I wanted to play golf.
Okay.
So the way most men's career goes is they play football all their life and then they retire and then they go play golf. I sort of fast forwarded that until my teenage years and was like, I want to give this golf a whack, and I was terrible at it. Like so, after about 8 months, I went back to playing football, and as I said, 2 training sessions with Lurgan Town, and then I was back down at Knockgrammar.
Very good. Now I will back you up with that because an old saying says the older you get, the smaller the balls you play with. So
Yeah.
you're still there's still plenty of football in you yet. Let's say that.
Uh,
So any highlights then standout memories from my memory again just looking back the under 19 team that you finished strong you were quite competitive
yeah.
but any other memories in the build up to that through the years.
Probably 2 years before that is the best years I ever had playing football when I was at under 17. The under 17 98s, we won the league. We won the league and the League Cup, and were beat in the final of another trophy on penalties. We went invincible in the league, and that was just the best year ever. I most of my years growing up playing football, all we ever did was lose matches and get tanked on a Saturday. You'd enjoy your training, whatever else, but this when it come to Saturday, then it was just sort of a foregone conclusion that we were going to lose 4, 5, or 6-0. And
Okay.
then Eamon Shanks come in, took us for a few years, and then Terry Mallon took the reins from Eamon, and Terry alongside Eamon and Whitey Hoy
Yeah.
built together a team. And the best thing about it was the majority of us were all friends. There was no sort of lads that we didn't know come in. And not that that would have been a problem because we welcomed anybody in, but we all sort of knew each other and gelled together really well and went on and won a league and a League Cup and were beaten in our final. And that year, 2015, I think it was just the best year ever.
No, fantastic. I say I was still involved with the senior setup back then, but I was conscious of your team coming through, and as you said, maybe through the years weren't the most dominant, weren't the most successful, but he's all
Yeah,
kind of come of age, as
yeah.
in your late teens.
It all
Fantastic.
clicked into place just for that one season, and I don't know what it was, but it just every single week we went out, we felt like no one could beat us, and thankfully in the league that played through um with a couple of close draws, a couple of hairy situations where we thought we might drop our golden record, but it all came good in the end.
And you've played a few of your games at Knockgrammar Park as well.
Yeah, Well, we managed to get a couple of home games down there. As because there was a lot of competition for Knockgrammar at the time. There was ourselves, then there was the reserves, the first team, and then I think there might have been a third team on the go as well. So when we got the opportunity to play at Knockgrammar, it was a big occasion for us, and you know, uh, all the boys loved it. Getting the warm up down behind the nets and sort of the build up, and you might have had maybe 15 people down watching, but there was always a sense of occasion. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
We're at home. This is our patch, like, and they were the best days.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. As I say, good memories as a junior. And then you went on to represent the club at senior level. So obviously, we referenced that we played 1 or 2 games together. Was
Yeah,
at reserve for the reserve team?
yeah. At a couple of games for the reserve season. Sort of that first season I was at senior level. I was sort of surplus to requirements. If the reserve needed somebody on the bench or whatever else, I'd fill in that spot. But for the most part, I was playing in the Lonsdale setup, and those days were great as well. Like, we spent a lot of days in Armagh, down around Sherry's Field, and uh, good old crack in that change room, like a bunch of lads.
Oh, absolutely. And then again, just from my memory, so before you headed off to uni, sort of post pandemic, sorry,
Yeah,
pre pandemic, you had signed off with Player of the Year,
yes,
your
that
Player of the Year
was.
award. I remember having a conversation with you that it's a fucking crying shame because you're built for better stuff on the football field, and we're hoping you were going to stay involved, and but obviously university
It
keep
just
calling.
I don't know what sort of happened. I, I fell off. I definitely fell off the football bandwagon, and I'm always raging at myself that I did. That season I was playing under Gabby Henderson,
Yeah,
and what a great year. Um, just as a team, do you know what I mean? We would come a long way from not knowing if we'd have a team or not, and then we were, as I say, we were all over the place. We're in Armagh and Uri back in Knockgrammar, and it was it was a bit fractured at times, as I say. Maybe some weeks we weren't unsure of numbers, but when we got together and we played and we made it to a cup final as well, we played it at home park in Armagh. We lost it in penalties. And then, as you mentioned, I was grateful and lucky enough to receive the manager's player of the season award that year.
yeah. So you, what 19? Still
19, yeah,
still very young, youngest squad member, obviously.
yeah,
As I say, and then before we get into your university years, or before we get into the university journey, we'll maybe then kick back and play a wee game of Keepie Uppies. Go through the questions, maybe
right.
help you throw back a few memories and a few names.
Now
You get
this has given me a serious headache now over the past couple of days when I've sat down to have a look at this. I've a wee page, wee book here in front of me, and the amount of names scribbled out and rewritten in that I don't. You've challenged me.
That's exactly what it's all about, and it's fantastic that's the case. And it's in true journalism form. You have everything written down and ordered. But again, that's lessons I need to learn from me. So I'm looking forward to chatting about that too. But keep me up, so again, this will be a throwback for some of the players, managers, etc., and you can give them all a shout out.
Uh,
So from the outset, and you've said about who you played for already. So the best team ever played for.
it was definitely that under 17s team under Terry, Eamon and Whitey, the Oxford Sunnyside 98s that year. They won the league cup, beating Armagh City, and we hated that Armagh team. Like, that was always a real fierce rivalry. Um, and then losing out in penalties in another one, but that without a shadow of a doubt, like, the best team I've ever played for.
Fantastic. All right, best captain.
Um, this will come across as a bit big headed, but this was a tough one because I had the privilege for the majority of my playing career, because most of it was at underage, that I was the captain. And it wasn't until I moved into a senior setup that I started playing under other captains, and you really see it sort of gave me lessons, even though I wasn't a captain anymore, of the values of good leadership.
Yeah,
Um, so I've put down Patio, big Patio O'Connor,
happy
and
happy
the
days.
reason being was, we were training. It was like the second or third week of pre-season, and we were training out of Clonard Gym. And a couple of weeks before had been absolutely death. We're doing circuits, just, the heat turned up, absolutely putting in a good sweat in that gym up there in Clonard. And it was the third week or so, and we said training was at 7 o'clock. Got till about 7:05. Can't remember who it was coaching us, but they never showed, and no one sort of said anything. We're all standing there twos and our threes. 10 past comes. Paddy says, "Right, lads, we'll give it till quarter past." And there's me thinking, happy days. No train tonight. My legs are baked. The last 2 weeks have been death. We'll get a wee night off tonight. And then Paddy says, "Right, lads, set all your stuff wherever you need to. Put it in a safe space." says, what the hell's going on here? And he took us for a run around Lurgan. Went round the Tory. I think we were up around Lurgan Park the whole lot. And that's the first sort of time I seen leadership outside of a manager, where the captain has sort of put his hands up and says, if you're serious about winning anything, or if you want to get anywhere with this game, that you have to put the work in yourself. And Paddy took us for a run. But I mean, like I played under Collie Toman as well. I don't think it would be fair if I didn't mention Collie. Was just an absolute warrior in defence there, like, and another great player. But that, as I say, that story with Paddy O was the first time I sort of learned of the true value of leadership.
Oh, fantastic! I say Paddy and Collie, two great servants to the club, on and off the field. But yourself, Michael, I mean, my memories of you, or it's very much, you were very much let's say, a man beyond your years. You carried the maturity and you carried that leadership quality. Was admired. Obviously, I'm twice your age, but you were obviously on a path of success and a confidence as a captain from a very young age. So to draw on Paddy's experience then, and kick on, and again just be willing and able to watch and learn, and knowing that you're still in a journey, you're still learning, is credit to you again. Credit to the old man, what's the old head and young shoulders development. So fair play. All right, another couple here. Best touch and best goal scorer.
Best goal scorer went with Aaron Withers. For all the years that we played at underage, Aaron Withers, you could count on him solid 30 goals a season, not a problem. And he would left foot, right foot, off his knee, off his head. Anyway he could find, he'd get it in the net. And then best touch of went with Dean Crawford. Dean played in that team of ours as well, and the ball was just like glued to his feet. He was absolutely fantastic.
And both them fellas playing at Lurgan Celtic at the minute, is that right?
No, Aaron is, but Dean's
Aaron
not.
Is.
Dean's not playing football at the minute. Last I heard, he's Terry Mallon's stepson, and them two lads have always been great to me, and great friends and teammates. Like, and Dean was an absolute wizard.
Fair play. I've seen Aaron played, scored goals for our reserve team, was in our first team squad at a time, and has since went on to Lurgan Celtic, where he's scoring plenty of goals.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, so another three for you. Best keeper, best defender, and best midfielder.
Best keeper, 100%, Ryan Boko Conway. He's the only sort of permanent fixture I've had in nets behind me the whole time I was playing. And that wasn't the best goalkeeper, wouldn't want anybody else. Best defender I've give to my centre-back partner for most of my career was Shanksy, Adam Shanks. Yeah. Me and him for, I'd say, probably 6 or 7 years played alongside each other. I just managed to build up a great sort of playing relationship, and we were friends off the pitch as well, which made it all 10 times better. And and then the midfielder, I've been racking my head, like I've played with so many of them. But I went with Joe Barry. Joe just would put his head in anything, would run through any challenge. And Joe gets a mention again later on in one of the other questions, like, but definitely top class midfielder.
Well, Joe's still doing it for a reserve team at the minute.
Yep.
Very good. All right, best striker.
So I initially had this lad down as the best goal scorer, but I'd say Aaron Withers, whenever we played together, scored more goals. But the best striker went with Shane Lavery. Obviously now,
not to.
Yeah, I think he has to get a mention there. Like, obviously now playing his trade in the championship. But Shane had more than just goal scoring ability. And that's not to take away from Aaron, but Shane just sort of he had the movement, and he had the pressing, and he had sort of the smarts that have obviously taken him now to professional levels.
Oh, fantastic. And just to give yourself a shout out there, your podcast, you did speak with Shane.
Yeah.
You have captured his story as well. I'd actually love to get him on the podcast here myself. So if only I knew somebody who had an inside line, we could arrange that.
I'll see what I can do. He's quite a shy character, like, and I mind I had to wrestle with him myself. But if he knows it's all in good faith, I'd have no problem with it.
Well, I say his big mate Mickey can come on with him, and we can make it work. No, but Shane's doing great things. It's great to see again another Lurgan man.
Yeah,
a Gallen man, how he sees himself. Doing well and representing again, flying the flag. in the championship and scoring goals at
Yeah,
international level as well.
yep.
So, no,
He's doing well for himself, and I hope he keeps the form and even finds a bit of better form. And with Michael O'Neill come back into the Northern Irish setup as well,
yeah,
like with the Euros coming up and the World Cup, I mean, it's just such a great opportunity for Shane that if he can keep himself at a high level and in the the manager's mind that to think that he might be playing in a European competition or a World Cup is just unbelievable.
no, absolutely brilliant, and an inspiration for young people. Again, listening and learning their trade as well.
Yep.
Brilliant. All right, so best left foot and best right foot.
Best left foot, I went back to Dean Crawford. Him and Adam Shanks were the only two lefties that I can, really mind playing with. And Shanksy was more had the ball at his feet, whereas Dino was on the wing, so you'd seen his left foot in action more, whipping the crosses in, taking the odd shot whenever he likes to go on his wee runs.
Mm-hmm.
And he without a doubt was definitely Dino. And then
Oh,
right
brilliant.
foot, as I'm sure everyone says, you Richie, this is a harder one because everyone's right
Absolutely.
footed. But I'm thinking back to that team that I played on, and I'd probably give it the Nal 45, as we called him, Nal Skelton, or Connor McCann, who I'm actually not sure where Connor's playing at the minute. I think is it he was. I know he was at Donningstown.
He was at Celtic.
He was at. I'm not sure if he's still there, but between him and Nal Skelton, them two lads could definitely whip a football.
Oh, very good. Brilliant. I've seen these boys play too, which is great. You get chatting to people and they're referencing
Yeah.
some, and you can't sort of put a face to them or a name to them.
Yeah.
All right, best manager.
Has to be Terry Mullen, but I can't mention Terry without mentioning his two assistants, Eamon Shanks and Whitey Hoy. I mean, they were just a trio, and like each of them had something different that each of us lads respected. We respected them anyway, but there were different ways in which the three of them could talk to you differently, and maybe one of them could talk to a few of the other lads a wee bit differently. That would just sort of calm them down or get them in the right frame of mind. And I don't know what it was or how we got so lucky, but that was just the perfect cocktail of a management team and players, which is why that team was so good, I think.
Oh, brilliant. As you say, you need that mix, don't you? You need three sets of eyes and have
Absolutely.
an overview on it all, and keeping an eye on individuals, keeping an eye on the team. No,
Yeah,
it takes a team. It takes a team of management. It's
absolutely.
never one man or one guy that does it all. It's impossible. Brilliant. All right, so two more here. Player that loves a hard challenge and the quickest player.
Quickest player, I've went with either Mackers or Christian McAreevy or Kieran Quinn. Two lads that are just like absolutely lightning. I sort of got caught up in my mind when I was trying to think of this one, and I kept getting sidetracked with maybe lads who were the most athletically fit that could go for the longest. But these boys were just like cheetahs. You put a ball in behind and them boys would chase it like mad. Without a doubt, was definitely them too. And then loves a hard challenge. I have to give that to my good friend, Jamie Hoy. God rest him.
Yes, God rest him.
Fantastic player, even better teammate. Just always on the field. I nearly give him the always gives 100% one, but every time you looked at Jimmy, he was flying into a challenge with someone and coming out smiling on the other side of it. And yeah, it's just it's awful that we've lost him so soon. But the memories that we have of playing with him and him being such an important part of that team for us as well, he definitely had to get a mention.
Oh, absolutely. Say thoughts and prayers with the family. Say the project, but delighted you give the mention there.
Yeah.
All right, so best all-round player and player that got better with age. That might be a difficult one for you because there wasn't too many. You're still very young.
Yeah. Well, I played with a few lads right from those days in Allen Hill Park up until we sort of broke up playing there. Best all rounder, I went with Joe Barry, and it took me a while to sort of to pick this one. But when I went back and thought about playing with Joe, you could stick him in centre back, he'd be a brick wall back there. he'd be the engine running the game in the middle of the field. And if you ever needed a goal, you could throw him up top and he'd be good for 2 or 3 goals whenever you needed him most. And there's other lads that are all brilliant at them positions, but Joe was the most versatile, I think, that could go across all of them. And then player that got better with age, a friend of mine, I'm not sure if you know him, Richie, Mickey Canning. He's now living over in Liverpool. He's a teacher over there now. We've played football together since we were 5 or 6, and he'll not mind me saying this now if he's listening, but he is one of the worst tantrums I've ever seen on a football field. Well, he's the definition of red rag to a bull. You know, it didn't take much to wind Mickey up, and but once he settled and once he sort of learned to control that as we got a wee bit older, he was deadly in front of goal.
Brilliant. And again, I'm assuming is Mickey still playing? Is he playing in Liverpool?
He's played a wee bit. He's found himself a team over there, so he's keeping the legs going anyway. Keeping them going more than I am anyway.
And as I say, best all-round play. You talked about Joe Barry. Joe Barry is actually playing his trade as a striker, or like a 10.
Yeah.
For the reserves at the minute. So fair play. All right. So last one is player who always gave 100%.
I feel like it would be cheating if I just said the entire team that lads that I played for. So I've narrowed it down to 2. I couldn't pick one, but I went with either Corey Hatchell was always one of our CDMs, and he was similar to Jamie in that he would just run through anything. And then Jordy Young, who's still playing at the minute. Jordy, every single week turns up with a positive attitude, and he's a great teammate. Do you know what I mean? As much as he's a good footballer, he's a great teammate.
No, fantastic. I think it's credit to that squad of players that you've referenced you played with, and quite a number of them are still playing at the senior level, you know, so it's shown that there's a progression and, you know, a transition into senior footballer at the club, which is fantastic. No, that's brilliant. That was a well studied game of Keepie Uppies there. Well done. Your homework was well done.
Yeah, as I tell you, I was racking my head over it like.
A few boys have suffered. All right, we'll spin the wheel of Berba before we get chatting about the aspirations moving forward. So just give me a wee second. Tots and I, again, Tots purchased the wheel of Berba, the real wheel of Berba, an actual wheel, and we spun it the other day now. So I'm hoping that this picks up. Let's see if the technology will work here.
Oh, actually enjoy this here. Not the actual wheel because it's the biggest pile of shit. I'll actually spin it. Oh, the old quick Keepie Uppies. Quick fire Keepie Uppies is just basically Keepie Uppies, just done really quickly. But you have to stop at 2. Let's say about sort of like a siren.
Well, we gotta scratch that one. Apologies.
No worries.
One more just in case then. If there's time permitting. Oh, the ultimate 5-a-sides. Always bloody stop at this one. So if Michael, you know the rules, he's the manager, picks 4 players, dead or alive, and there also has to be 1 player that either currently plays with or was an ex-team.
There we go. Over to you.
Let me think. So I'm the manager. I have to put Rooney in there. In fact, I was just listening to last night. I was listening to Dackie McVeigh on with you, and he had Rooney in his as well. And I was thinking it's just going to sound if I got that question that I'm going to come along and copy him, but I promise him that. I think I'll start in the defense. So if Rooney up top, I'll put Big Vidic in there, 100%. He has to get a mention. Messi has to go in. And then thinking maybe backs, David Beckham.
Okay.
I know that's a bit of an eclectic
United
mix
strong.
Yeah. And then someone that I played with. Sure, I've mentioned him enough. Put Joe Barry in there. He'd knock it up with the rest of them 100%.
All right, so Joe Barry, Wayne Rooney, Vidic,
Beckham, and Messi.
And Messi. There you go. That's not a bad one. We're going to have to put these ultimate teams together and in the computer generator and see who comes out with a winner.
You get some debate out of that anyway.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to spin the wheel one more time. We're going to have 5 minutes, and then we'll maybe jump off and jump back on again, just to get it,
100%.
keep the recording going. All right.
Yeah, and I suppose if we're going to start asking people to pin, well, this is an extra wub for our Patreons. Okay, so let's see where it lands, folks. Are you serious? Right, we'll go again. Fuck off, Ultimate Fate says. Flipping hell. There's something right. Go start here. Oh, I think that one was R&R. I like this one. This is Regret and Relive. So in Michael's footballing career, is there one moment that he regrets? What is it? Why did he regret it? And also, is there a moment in his footballing career that he would love to relive? So, one moment he regrets, and one moment that he would love to relive. Just one moment. Just one moment. R&R.
Well, that's a tough one.
Open up.
Regret and relive. I would love it. Relive. We had I've enough pictures and enough videos to remember the day in which we won the league and trophies and stuff. The year after, I think when we were under 18s, under 19s, we went to Cookstown and we were playing in a cup semi-final against them. And I've never had as much jip or as much grief off the sideline than I have in that match. And bear in mind, at the time, like we were only 18, 19, and there was, I don't even know how many people were on the sideline, but all of them just giving us constant grief and death the whole time. We nicked a 90th minute winner to get through into the final of the cup. So I'd love to just relive that buzz again and maybe a few of the words that I spoke to the sideline. Is that a regret? I don't think so. I think I meant them whenever I said them at the time. And then the regret, I regret whenever I was 12, we were playing down in somewhere in Lisbon, I can't remember. But anyway, and I went in, there was a bit of a scuffle, and one of our lads got pushed. And instead of pulling our lad away, I pushed the big lad. And I got a swift right hook to the face, which put one of my teeth through my upper lip and resulted in about 10 stitches. So that's probably the regret.
Right.
I could have avoided that situation, but adrenaline running high, I ran in and I ended up worse for wear.
Very good. Very good. Very good. So Tots enjoy spinning that wheel. You're talking about a last minute winner. I'd say I was communicating with you last night, and we'll just tell this story before we wind off and jump back on again.
Yeah.
So I was out watching Oxford Sunnyside against Dungannon Tigers, and that was a night to remember. So when I arrived, the Oxford Sunnyside first team players were actually painting or drawing with marker their numbers onto the back of their red training tops.
Oh, flip.
Dungannon Tigers playing white, and we didn't have a change of kit. Dungannon Tigers weren't prepared to give us their away kit, so it was
testy.
Absolutely. So obviously, emotions were running high before kickoff. The kickoff was delayed by 15 minutes. The referee was aware of the situation 35 minutes before kickoff, but anyway, it played out. But Dungannon Tigers took an early lead, 1-0. The night went on. It was high intensity. The boys got the equaliser, and then, as you said, the 91st minute winner. Sent the place daft. The whole sideline, the whole management team, everybody hit the centre of the pitch. Much to the disgust of Dungannon Tigers, but it was that last minute winner. Reliving them emotions, and I'm only a spectator now, but you still get the buzz, when you see the effort that the boys are putting in and where it goes to. But such a strange evening, But regrets, Michael, is there? So you said you're not playing any. You're not currently playing.
Yeah.
Would you see that as a bit of a regret, or do you miss playing?
I definitely do. You know what I miss the most? I miss the changing room. I miss just sort of the crack that you would have, and then it's so cliche, but you go out and you cross that white line for 90 minutes, nothing else matters. You hear a lot of the pros saying that, and anybody that's ever played, but it's so true. And to think that you're out there with 10 of what I would call my best mates at the time, and just every week going out and just battling for each other. I miss that, and I suppose stepping away from football altogether to be more on the journalism side of it is, I feel like I'm still involved, but nowhere close enough that I would be if I was still playing. So it's definitely a regret.
Okay, let's stop it there and we'll go again. It's a very good segue. Well done. You've done this before. We're back in. We're back in. Before we go any further, let me apologise for the expletives of my co-host while he spun the wheel of Berba. Very good. Remotely spinning wheels of Berba and everything here. I tell you, there's nothing like sitting down in front of somebody and having an out chat, is there?
Nah,
we'll carry on regardless. We'll carry on regardless. So your segue, Michael, and again, I'm completely intrigued because the journalism side of stuff has always been a sort of a half of an interest for me. But you're a lover of all sports, not just football, obviously. And you've taken yourself on a journey. You've travelled to Derby, is where you're studying.
Yep.
Is it? And so take us on that journey. Was it always a dream? Was it always had you always a will and a want for journalism and sport?
Sports have been a part of my life forever, Richie. Do you know what I mean? And I've always loved them. It started off with football and Gaelic football, and over the years, it seems to be something that is growing and doesn't. I don't feel like it'll ever stop growing. It's just a love for all sports, but not just for watching them. Sports is like an idea for what they give us as viewers and as players. You're mentioning there about being a spectator on the sideline. Technically, what you were doing is standing still for 90 minutes watching 22 men kick a bit of leather around the pitch. Yet your heart rate probably went up through the roof more than you'd ever expect it to. When you break it down, right to that, the fact that sports can give us so much from the basics of it being so little is just brilliant. And from the journalism side of things, I've always sort of been maybe not opinionated, but always wanting to share my thoughts on things. Not necessarily having big out there opinions or different takes than everybody else, but I've always wanted to chip in and share my thoughts on them. And from as young as I can remember, I was always holding some sort of microphone or standing in front of the camera doing something. So when the opportunity presented itself then to go to university, there was only one course I wanted to do, and that was the sports journalism course. To get myself properly qualified, and that's what I'm on the way to doing at the minute.
Oh, fantastic! And say you do you carry it. You're very good on the podcast. You speak very well. You've had plenty of practice, as you say, over the years.
Yeah.
YouTube would be a thing. I'm sure the younger generation are accustomed to, but.
Well, I tell you, there's a few let's just call them archived, never to be seen YouTube videos or channels that I might have embarked upon, quite a few years ago, and only I know where to find them, and that's just the way it'll stay because they weren't necessarily sports or journalism things. They were just sort of mucking about and standing with the microphone and the camera, and I'm almost sort of cringing up now, even thinking about them. But it's always been sort of something that, and it's evolving. It covers all sort of facets. It could be written journalism, broadcast journalism, which includes the likes of your television, your podcasting, and then something that I've got very into recently. I've took a big love of is radio. I didn't realize how much radio could impact you, personally, until I had a job where I was sitting in an office and the only person that I would hear all day is the person on the radio.
Absolutely.
And then
I do a lot of driving, and that's.
I was going to say,
you lean on the radio
someone like
quite
yourself
often.
with the commuting,
whether
it's podcasts or radios, you've only one friend, so and that's what's so personal about it. It's brilliant. So I've took a real liking for it, and that's just what I'm working towards now. This final 6 months of this degree, and hopefully on the other side of it, then start looking for jobs that maybe a few years ago I would never would have dreamed of being able to do. So
Oh,
that's the
fantastic.
goal at the minute.
And only 6 months left. So you'd say you went over there sort of. You
In
were
the middle
there
of
in
the
the heart of the
pandemic.
pandemic.
Yep. September 2020 is when I started. I so university was never my thing. I never wanted it to be my thing. I went to school in Lurgan all the way up to St. Rowlands, did my A levels, failed my A levels quite miserably, and after that I was sick of the classroom. I was finished, didn't want anything to do with it, and then went into 2 or 3 different full time jobs, and I just hated them. Not because I was in full time work, but because I just hated what I was doing. And hate's a strong word, like, but I really did not enjoy where I was. So I went back then. I went to Newry Tech for a year. Went and got the grades that I needed that got me into university. And initially, I wanted to go to university in Manchester, but when I sort of looked into it a wee bit further and did my research, it's not where I wanted to go. The area wasn't quite as nice. The course wasn't as detailed as I wanted it to be. So then that led me on the search, which brought me to Derby. And as random as it is, like, it is slap bang in the middle of England.
Yeah.
But you're 2 hours from London, an hour and a half, two from Manchester and Liverpool, an hour from Birmingham, 20 minutes from Nottingham. So you're as central as you can get, and started there September 2020, and we'll finish here, all fingers crossed, June 2023.
Oh, fantastic. So you're chasing down the dream. You know, as you say, you're now getting your buzz from sharing your opinion, from celebrating, from
Yeah,
from all the stuff that you can capture as a journalist on all different
yeah,
forums and fronts. You know, so absolutely brilliant. And it goes to show too that, like, sport, as you said, offers you the buzz individually, but you can
yeah.
also, you know, so many ways into the sport, or so many forms of staying involved in the sport.
It's that,
But
and as you,
you know, I've sort of I've followed your journey when you went to university because I was
uh-huh.
intrigued for you, you know, and obviously it's working out for you, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and as you said, there's not only is there many ways into it, but there's so many different sports. And that's just, you can find your niche, or you can sort of throw the blanket over the whole thing and cover everything at once, which is what I try to do a little bit. But something like what you're doing at the minute with local football in Northern Ireland is just, it's fantastic, because it gives people that, you don't see this on the BBC, or you don't hear it on the big
Yeah,
podcasts. It narrows it down for an audience of people that don't have any other outlet for this sort of information, and that's why I would say it's a credit to yourself as to why your podcast is doing so well, because you're uncovering an area where no one else is covered, and that's one of the main things about sports journalism is finding a niche,
yeah.
and this podcast does it very well.
No, I appreciate that. And in fairness, we've recently, you know, found a bit of traction, particularly over in Twitter and stuff, and we've clubs from all over Northern Ireland now, you know, listening in and reaching out and communicating with us, and you know, interested to get their story out there.
Yeah,
So, you know, again, this is born out of lockdown, of course, born out of a will and a want, like yourself, to sort
yeah,
of share opinion, talk to like-minded people. You know, my love of football, everybody knows. You know, anybody who knows me knows that I've a love for football, and be able to just to chat to like-minded people and share opinion, bit of slagging, you know, a
absolutely.
bit of the game of Keepie Uppies sort of got us through the dark times of
Oh yeah,
you know, isolation and all that sort of stuff. But I say it's grew legs, and we're enjoying the process, you know. But
oh,
like
it's
anything
brilliant.
else now the world's opened up and we're back into the rat race. It's finding the time to do it and, you
Yeah,
know, commit to
that's
it
that's the
wholeheartedly.
difficult thing. I was sort of the same with my own podcast, as you say, born out of lockdown. Um, and I've never contemplated giving it up. As you say, I've always wanted to keep doing it, and I've invested a lot of my time and a lot of money into equipment and things like that. Um, which makes it all worth it whenever you're listening to it back, and it does sound a half decent standard.
Yeah.
Um, but it's just it's a great hobby. I find that I'm talking to myself more often than not, and then I just sort of took the selfish decision that if I have to listen to myself, then I'm going to give other people the option and opportunity to listen to me as well.
No, exactly that, exactly that. And I say for me, it's been able to say, reconnect and connect with new friends, make new friends. But it's just that, having a voice, and everybody else is doing it. Why the hell not?
Yeah, absolutely.
The big thing is there's a financial commitment to it, and me and Tats have talked about this. It is a hobby, and we're trying to celebrate people. It comes at a cost, and to try and make it as I think the rawness and the honesty of it makes it sort of unique to a certain degree. But you still want to be able to invest in it, have the right equipment, make it sound better. Give it a bigger outreach, and it comes at a small
Absolutely.
cost.
I mean, as you say, regardless of how you record it, people's stories aren't going to change. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, that's the core of it. What you're trying to get out of people is their stories, and people will persevere with a bit of bad audio here and there, or as you say, maybe your co-host swearing at a plastic wheel that he's trying to spin. But when people want something, they'll pay attention to it.
Yeah, and again, like we're kind of toying with the idea of asking for like a Patreon, a small donation, kind of optional donation, just to help us invest in ourselves, because we're ultimately investing in everybody else, type of thing.
Yeah.
But that's just don't know how it sits. Where people just, I suppose it's optional, like they can if they want to, but I'd say it's only just to improve the audio, improve the equipment, improve the content, But as I say, it's stuff we're toying with and contemplating at the minute, because the both of us are now fully invested in it. We see the traction it has, we see the outreach it has. The feedback's been very, very good. Again, like yourself, you're giving us good feedback, and it's all appreciated. So, as I say, it's a platform that's doing well for everybody.
It's on a natural progression, and and the more clubs are hearing about it, and the more that grows then from clubs to different tournaments wanting to get the word out. Your Irish Cup stuff and things like that, and it snowballs, and it can snowball very quickly. So you find the right niche, and there aren't many sort of local podcasts like that can claim a niche like that. So it's good to have it, and it's good that it's from Lurgan as well.
Well, that's it. And again, there's plenty of tales. There's plenty of football stories in Lurgan, as I'm sure you've shared many of them when you're in Derby over a pint of Guinness, talking about.
Oh yes. Well, I'm not so sure about the Guinness over there, but you have to maybe find the right spot for that. But over a lager, perhaps.
A lager, a half a lager maybe. So tell me that the 2.5 years now with uni, any standout moments for you regarding the stuff you've been doing as a journalist? Any games, anything you've covered in particular, any highlights?
I would say there's definitely been a couple. So at the September 2021, at the start of my second year, I was down in London for the American football. The NFL comes to London pretty much for the whole month of October, and I got to go to one of the big fancy hotels where the teams practice, just on the outside London, just outside Watford. And it's this big six-star fancy resort. And there's little old Lurgan me trotting up and watching them train on the sideline, and then going back and going to the press conference where the head coach and the quarterback and their star players are all standing at the podium, and I'm sort of rubbing shoulders with Sky Sports reporters, BBC reporters. That was pretty surreal. And then I went to 2 games back to back in 2 different weeks. Then the summer just passed. I did 2 weeks in Birmingham for the Commonwealth Games. I was there as part of the games news service is what we've done. So basically, when the athletes finished, I covered rugby sevens, wrestling, and judo. So when the events were finished, I would run down to what you call the mix zone, which is essentially from when they come off the playing field or surface or arena and on their way to the changing room. There's sort of like a little area for journalists all to stand, and it's a bit of a scrum, and you just sort of stick your microphone in and get a quote. But because it was on a volunteering basis, but because I was representing the games and the Commonwealth website, I sort of was privileged with one-to-one interviews. So, pardon me, I got to interview some up and coming rugby stars from I counted it when I got home. I think I interviewed people from, I think it was somewhere between 25 and 30 different countries.
Wow.
Commonwealth gold medalists, people that are silver medalists. But looking back at a tournament, someone would be delighted to say they got a silver medal, but what that means is that they lost in the final. So when they're coming off the mat or the pitch, their emotions are raw and the tensions are high, and you get a very few sharp answers, or maybe some people don't want to speak to you at all. And then it's a strain. The way judo and wrestling work is like there's two bronze medals. It's too difficult to explain because it's gone out of my head from when it was in the summer. But you've essentially two bronze medal matches at the one time, so they're coming off elated, and you have two people with bronze medals happier than someone that's just got a silver.
Yeah.
So that whole experience was just fantastic. The Commonwealth, and then more recently, as I say, I've been doing things with radio. So I've been doing radio broadcasts and working in like top of the range radio studios. We had one of our classmates. She was out reporting from Qatar during the World Cup, and we were able to ring out to her during our live show and sort of link with her. That was just it was very of a professional standard. So the course itself has just been fantastic and given me, endless opportunities.
No, fantastic. Meeting new people, meeting new cultures. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. And as you reference yourself as little old me from Lurgan, but
Yeah.
you're one of many that Lurgan flying the flag.
Yep. Absolutely.
There's a lot of top stories. Lurgan's to be celebrated, and again, that's why
Definitely.
we do what we do. No, absolutely brilliant, Mick. Absolutely brilliant. And with your podcast, then you say you're not giving it up. I know you don't do it just as regularly as you did. Obviously, uni and work and stuff gets in the way of that. But the content on the podcast and all, it's innovative in itself. You jump from sport to sport. You cover everything. You hung out with some more of the local lads, young Casey and what do you call him? Heineman, and even then chats are great. I found them again hearing Lurgan voices over these podcasts and stuff, and obviously it's all touched on mental health and all the stuff, all the taboo sort of subjects. We're brave in that, and long may it continue.
Yeah.
Are the SAP boys still going?
Very sporadically. I was talking to them more not that long ago, just the other side of Christmas, and they're sort of similar to me in that they would like to, but as you mentioned there, life commitments have to come first, and Adam has a young daughter, and Sean has full-time work, as does Adam. So it's important to remember sometimes that it is just a hobby, and that while people might be telling you, I really enjoy listening to it, or it's when's the next one, that it has to come whenever it conveniences you the most.
Exactly.
That you have to prioritize it. And I couldn't even begin to list the amount of episodes that I've recorded and subsequently deleted, because I've went to upload them and then taken them down because I was only putting it out because I felt like I had to.
Yeah.
And then I listened back to it and like that's a bit crap. I've rushed that. I didn't really need to do that. So that's why over Christmas there I left all my recording equipment in England, because one, the hassle of getting it all home, and two, I would have just sat staring at it over the Christmas break thinking, I have to record something here, I have to do something.
Yeah.
I would have forced myself to put something out that probably would have been not of a standard that I would have wanted it to be. So I'm already thinking now I can't wait to get back, because I've got, my brother bought me a new microphone and all for Christmas, and I'm really excited to get using it. And I've already ideas in mind for the first episode I'm going to record when I get back, because it's been since midway through the World Cup. So from my point of view, I have so much to catch up on from my own podcast. Everything from Messi to Pele to the darts, the whole lot of it needs covered, and I'm looking forward to getting back and getting recording it again. And as I say, doing all this stuff with radio as well just makes podcasting that much more fun.
Yeah, brilliant. And as you say, it's not if it becomes a bit of a chore, it takes the fun out of it, and it should be a hobby. It should be, so you're now energized, ready to go again, ready to cover all that has went before. So it'll be fun to be had. No, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And as to say, I watch with bated breath. I'm intrigued for you and what you're doing, and it's great. If only I was born 1998, I'd maybe take myself on a journey with you.
Well, funny, this is even worse. My two younger brothers just refer to '98 as the black and white days. They're 2001, 2003, and they think I'm a dinosaur. So
Yeah, well, imagine how old I
it's
feel
not looking
then.
good for the rest of
I was getting my A-level results in 1988.
you. Hopefully, they were better than mine.
Well, not much better, let me assure you. Not much better. University of Life I went to, Michael.
Yeah, brought up right.
Absolutely, absolutely. Listen, Pat, I appreciate the chat. As I say, you're one of the guys that I've always been keen to get onto, and again, I'm following your path. But
Appreciate it, Richie. Thank you very
really
much.
am. I'm delighted for you, and hope everything goes well.
Well, fingers crossed. I'll let you know in June. You'll see me in the Woodville for a few celebratory ones if
Well,
everything
that's
goes
it.
right.
Make sure you let me know. I'll get you that pint. I'll get you that pint.
Happy days, Richie. Thanks a million, mate.
Good man, Mick. Thank you very much. Take care. As I say, I'll
Bye.
be liking and tagging and whatever, all the
Yes,
links,
of
the
course.
podcasts, etc.
No
Give it a
worries.
share. Appreciate it, pal. Take care. And if I don't see you before you head over to Derby, stay in touch.
That'll do. Cheers.
All right, good man.
Keepie Uppies with Richie and Tots.